This episode of RSR is brought to you by Isotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Spectra 1964, and Grace Design. These are tools that I use every day in my studio, from the Spectra 1964, STX 600, 100, and 100D, and Native Instruments Complete 26, to Isotope Ozone and RX, and the central hub for my studio, the Grace Design M701 audio interface. Follow the sponsor links in the show notes. Grab my free mixing course at mixmasterbundle.com, and remember to like this video and subscribe on YouTube because it's a great way to help support this show. Now, get ready to rock.
Fortunately, these days, people are starting to think about making vinyl records as they're in the recording process. And I think that's a very important thing to recognize. Even on our mastering intakes, I just always say, is there any possibility that this thing will end up on a vinyl record? Because if so, it's going to kind of change a little bit about how I'm thinking about the mastering for it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to change how I'm going to master it, but I might give myself like a little bit of a relief valve on a capture ahead of time if there's some possibility of it ending up on vinyl. That way it's easier to transition that master to a vinyl master, and then I have a separate master for digital, rather than full on hitting it hard for digital and then have to find a way to either walk it back, which doesn't always sound great, or have to completely rework it again for vinyl.
Welcome to Recording Studio Rockstars. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is the podcast created to help you become a rock star of the recording studio. Dreaming of a career in audio or the entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs where you'll learn on professional-grade gear with industry pros, learning through real projects, not just lectures. Explore studio production, live sound, audio for film, and a whole lot more. Or take the entertainment business program to learn about contracts, promotion, and more. With diploma, associate, and bachelor's programs, there's a path for you. Book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. Howdy, rock stars. It's your host, Lid Shaw, and welcome back to Recording Studios Rockstars, bringing you into the studio to learn from recording professionals so that you can make your best record ever and be a rock star of the studio yourself. My guest today is Payne, a Nashville-based mastering engineer whose work spans major label releases, indie records, film, and modern vinyl production. After running Nito Mastering in Oakland, California, Piper joined Infrasonic Mastering team in 2019 and is now back to running both Nito Mastering again, and has expanded her footprint in the analog world by founding Physical Music Products, PMP, a boutique vinyl pressing plant just outside Nashville, known for its high-quality, sustainable manufacturing and close relationships with artists and labels. She now balances both disciplines, mastering records and helping them come to life as physical releases. Her credits span genres and generations, from the Go-Go's and Leanne Rimes to Madame Gandhi, Animal, Linda Perry, and Janice Ian, and a growing list of modern independent artists. Piper also speaks widely on mastering workflow, vinyl production, tech innovations, and the real-world bridge between audio engineering and manufacturing. She's previously joined us on RSR562, and today we dive even deeper into records, vinyl, and the craft of great audio and making things sound amazing. Please welcome back Piper Payne to Recording Studio Rockstars. Piper, are you ready to rock again?
I'm ready to rock again. Thanks, Lidge.
Glad to have you here. Thanks for your patience as we got things rolling here. And as I'm trying to resize my window so I can see you. There we go.
So we just moved from outside of Nashville down in Smyrna to actually Nashville. So we
Oh,
are
amazing.
physically here in the Nations. And we just got the new shop up and running, and I was hoping to show it to you.
That's super cool. Yeah, I'd love to see it. In previous episode, of course, we talked about your background. We talked a lot about mastering, but let's just jump right in and take a cool.
All right.
I guess would we call it a studio tour? We'd call it a plant tour, or what do you call it?
A factory. It's a whole
factory tour.
Yeah. So we make things like, we make a lot of custom records. I heard the word boutique. We love being called boutique because that denotes that we're paying attention to quality, but we do also do massive long runs of everything from catalog to brand new jobs. And we just shipped a huge project that was one of our very first ones here in the new facility, and they're packing it right now. So I thought it might be kind of cool for you guys to see some actual records get pressed. Good?
All right, very cool. Yeah.
All right.
Now, Rockstars, if you get dizzy playing first-person shooter games, just close your eyes when we're moving around and reopen them and listen. It'll be great.
So here, it should let me change my video around. For some reason, now it's not. Now that we're actually recording, but I'll turn you around this way so you can see.
Oh, groovy! Yeah.
This is the factory. And if you have a hard time hearing me, or I'm moving too fast, or I get blurry or anything, let me know, okay? But I'm going to take you down to show you some records.
Very cool.
So we're just about to shut down for maintenance here, but this is the new shop. Here's all of our grind ready to go. We recycle everything we do here at PMP. Almost all of our records are 100% recycled.
All right, just heads up. It's kind of jumping around on our end, so you might want to take it slow.
I'll go slow. Our packers, this is an order going out today for delivery tomorrow morning. We're still a little bit of a mess as we move in, but you can see our new production line here. I hope you can still see it all.
Yeah.
We're running test presses here on this press. And then we've got a very cool clear blue test that we're doing over here.
Feel free to get in close, but don't get too close. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's beautiful. So Rockstars, if you're listening, come on over to the video, but we can see the records coming out of the machines, like a gorgeous blue vinyl that was just pressed and came out of that one. Here comes another one. Those are pretty intense looking machines.
This is called flash. This is the trimming that we take off, and then we recycle all of this. Yeah, they are quite intense machines. This is the extruder. That's what it looks like coming out. And then that press will go up in just a second there. Then we've got another one over here doing test presses.
That's cool. That's cool. So go ahead and keep describing it as we go, because this is an audio podcast, so people want to hear, if they can't see it, they want a description the whole time.
So all the records start out as pelletized plastic. This is grind. So this is 100% ground up PVC old records. And that goes up through a vacuum system up into the extruder. The extruder carries the material to the front and presses it out in, basically turns it into molten plastic. When that comes down, you'll see it's actually, it's still malleable. It's very hot. It's 300 degrees Fahrenheit melting temp. Then that gets labeled and gets carried to the front of the press and molds filled with steam. The stampers, which are basically a skin on the top of the mold. The stampers then squeeze what is the groove of the record. This peaks on the stampers. It's a mirror image. So now you can see the tracks here. This particular one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks on that B side. I don't know how many on the A side right now, but basically the molds fill with steam. They squeeze that hot plastic. Then they fill with cold water, and the cold water flushes through the mold and sets the plastic, and then we trim off the excess and drop it on the stack. Each record press makes about 2 records per minute, and we make tens of thousands a week if we're cooking, but you can see we've also got a lot of stuff that's ready to pack right there. And we're going to shut down here in just a second. I'm going to tell Eric, hey, Eric, we're going to close the throats. Close the throats, shut down. So we're shutting down for maintenance. Every day we have planned maintenance, but I'll show you some of the other auxiliary parts of making records that people don't realize. First of all, we have to have all kinds of extra equipment, forming equipment, We have to be able to lap molds. This is just our small boiler here that we got online in the new facility that carries steam to the presses down this header. I think it's trying to find my face. That's why it's moving so much. I'm not really moving
no, it's
all
working.
that much.
It's working.
And then we have
so that's what I was going to ask. The steam is because the steam is part of what you just described.
Yes. And then we have our boilers from our old shop right here that we're going to get online in about a month or so once we're kind of through the big push of production. Then we have pumps, water towers, all kinds of other stuff that we need to be able to run, make records.
What's that stuff right there?
These are the water pumps.
Oh, we might. Yeah, there we go. So is there anything special about the water when you're making records? Does it have to go through special filtration and all that kind of stuff?
Our water system is extremely stable, and we have more water cooling than we need, even at the most. And we actually have copper above us for everything, which is kind of cool. But we have an extremely cool water system that I'm really proud of, and it's a whole system that regulates the pressure and the temperature a lot better than how our old system did. Our old system was kind of like trying to kill a fly with a bazooka. This system is like perfectly sized, perfectly tuned for what we do. And then once we've gotten through kind of the next couple weeks of the insanity of we don't have much of a backlog right now, but we definitely have some folks that have been very patiently waiting for us. It took us about a week longer to finish the build out than we thought. So we're playing a little bit of catch up, running overnights until we're all caught up. But there have been a couple of plants that have closed recently, or let a lot of customers down, and we keep absorbing their projects for them. So it's like we finally feel like we're back up and caught up, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we have another 10,000 run of something we've got to get done. But every plant requires also warehousing and extra compound everywhere and packing, and these are our other presses where we make all of our manual records, and those will go online in the next few weeks as well.
What are manual records?
Like handmade splatter records, half and halves. Some of the stuff I showed you
that was on the wall
when we were upstairs on the wall there. Like this is a swirl, for instance. So that's like a red with black swirl.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Versus something like this. That is a splatter.
Wow, that's gorgeous looking.
So it's a base color with an accent in it. That one in particular happens to be a clear with red, blue, and black swirl or splatter. This is a purple teal splatter on black, and everything in between. So we've got a lot of different color combos and things that we make, but we do a lot of half and half records, a lot of splatter records, and generally just try and make whatever the customer can imagine. So
what a massive operation that is too. I mean, you guys need a lot of space there, it seems like.
Yeah, we're in about 20,000 square feet here.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much. A
little bit of an upgrade from the previous place too. We were in 14,000, but like sprawling. Like old PMP was like the building was like crumbling down around us. Like we didn't have flushing toilets for several months. It was a really rough situation, but the staff was so great, and just everybody just kept cranking as hard as they could to get us to a point where we could be caught up enough to be able to make the leap. And so basically we got the small system online first here in this new building. And then we got to the point where we had a couple of presses online with a small system, and then we were able to pull the trigger and pull everything from the old place. So we had about 5 days to move all of that equipment and assets that you saw downstairs. It was almost 20 truckloads, full truckloads.
Wow.
So
God, that's an enormous job.
Yeah. So we're still in build mode. We're still in, sort through, when you move a house, it can take you months to find something that you packed in some box last minute. And it sort of happened that way here too. So we've just got a lot happening here.
No doubt.
But it's good stuff.
Whenever I move a house, I get so fed up, I finally just start sweeping things into boxes and just the move
It
can
kind of
happen
felt like that. Yeah,
fast.
about 3:00 in the morning on day 3. That's about where we were at. Yeah.
Yeah, I always felt like the packing and the unpacking takes forever, but the actual like being in one location and then the next, at least moving a house can be pretty like, or an apartment,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're there.
Yeah. Well, then the
Wow.
staff moved too because we were down in Smyrna. So I've got staff that's out today moving their houses to be up closer to Nashville now too. So it's kind of,
Wow. Huge coordinated
yeah.
effort. Now,
Yeah.
I imagine that a lot of the people that are working in the plant too, and the things that they do are pretty specialized. It's a lot of skill sets
Mhm.
that you really need to acquire and learn over time.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got basically me and 3 other press operators. So we're responsible for all of the production that happens in the facility. We have an amazing admin, very small staff overall with PMP. I mean, we press more records than a lot of other plants that have 10 times the staff, even with more equipment online than we do. Everybody's just very dedicated and very focused and cares deeply about what they do. So it's something that I'm happy to show up and lead this crew, but really the joke around here is that if something happened to any one of the 3-ish really key people here, the plant could probably run without them just me and without them for like a week. But if anything happened to me, they could just run it indefinitely. So
Right on.
they're all
Right.
badasses, and I just love them so much. They're
Well, I mean, that's a
wonderful
really good
people.
sign of building and growing a business too. The whole goal of a business that's well done. I mean, mine's tricky because I'm a host of the show, but a business that's really well done, you can remove yourself from it as part of the goal is to sort of like step out of the role in a way.
Yeah. And the nice thing too is we'll be able to, now that we're in this building, and it's like got air conditioning and heat and it's close to home and it's clean. I'll be able to I have a spot picked out in the downstairs. There's a really beautiful, like built out area, not part of the warehouse, but in the front of the building. So we're moving the mastering and cutting operation into this building as well. So it'll be nice because I'll be able to be a little bit more present, on both fronts of what I'm doing. So I'm not like, siloed on mastering or siloed on pressing and then having a
Yeah.
life of some sort, which is also hard to do. I'm now only 10 minutes from home in Pegram, and mastering will be here and pressing will be here. And, so Colby and I can tag team a lot of the mastering that we've been working on for many years together. So, yeah.
Native Instruments now brings you Complete 26 with powerful instruments, synthesizers, and creative tools to help you make music faster and stay inspired. The legendary Absynth 6 is back with evolving textures and experimental sounds, while Contact 8 gives you the tools for chords, phrases, and arrangement right inside your workflow. With Massive X Guitar Rig 7 Pro, session guitarist instruments, and premium tools from Isotope and Brainworks, Complete 26 gives you everything you need to create in any genre. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Now, so when you say pressing, I mean, those look like the machines were doing pressing to those of us just
Those are
watching for
record
the
presses.
first time.
They're pressing. You saw records getting pressed.
Yeah. So what are the stages? You've also got the plating and all that kind of stuff. Does that happen right there in the facility as well?
I will neither confirm nor deny if I will one day set up a galvanics operation at PNP.
Okay, all right. But I mean, you
It's
can go
really
ahead.
hard.
You can give us the kind of
thing
like
is about-
the kindergarten description of how some of the process works, though, just so we understand.
Yeah.
it better.
And remember, all these processes are things that like require an insane amount of dedication and like years of your life just to be kind of good at it, like let alone, become an expert in that particular discipline. And so,
Yeah.
I was mastering records for it's almost 20 years now. And in the first 10 years or so, vinyl wasn't even being talked about. And so then I end up, I was in California and I ended up getting a lot of customers in my mastering business that were having a hard time getting their records made. So I started building quality control tools for record plants and started consulting for a couple of plants in California. And I started learning more about the process. And I was like, oh, it's not just the getting the records pressed to a high degree of quality. It's all this other stuff like customer support and answering the phone and, being prompt in communications and helping with shipping and helping with artwork and helping with, yes, the audio. So getting Lacquer's cut, which is the first stage of audio for making a record replication. Then that Lacquer disc, which is it's the analog to what the record will eventually be. It's just the first stage. So you have an A-side lacquer master and a B-side lacquer master. And, if it's a double LP, C and D, those each go into a plating bath where it's essentially, it's electroforming. You're growing a nickel negative of that lacquer disc. And that nickel negative gets peeled off, and that's what goes onto the press. You have a side A and a side B, and that's what gets formed to the profile of the mold and the profile of the disc that you're going to press, and then pushes in the groove into the warm plastic.
Yeah, and is that the mother is what is described as the final pressing plate?
It depends on how many copies you're going to make, but what I just described is called one-step plating. So it's basically just lacquer onto the metal master, which is technically the father. And then that could get put on the press, and you can press as many records on that until you break the stamper or it starts to become dull. What most folks do is they'll make a copy of that, and that's the mother, and then a copy of that, and that's the stamper. So the stamper is usually what we talk about, and that's a two-step plating process. That's usually what we talk about if you want to make up to about 10,000 discs or so. You're just into two-step. And if you want to make about 100,000 discs, you need another step called three-step, and that's where you have multiple copies of the masters and all that stuff, the metal masters. So from one lacquer set, you can make about 100,000 copies of a record. You get about 1,000 copies to a stamper, you get 10 stampers to a mother, and you get 10 mothers to a father. This is very patriarchal.
It sounds lyrical.
Yeah.
Sounds lyrical.
So yeah, that process though, what I was trying to say is like the process of lacquer cutting, mastering, the process of electroforming, the process of pressing records on these big giant machines that could like literally lop your hand off.
Yeah.
Each of those processes, and then into the artwork and the printing and graphics and shipping, like all of this stuff is in itself, each of them are their own disciplines. So a lot of people love to ask me, are you going to put plating in at PMP? And it's like, I would love to. I don't know that I have another lifetime to learn another discipline like that. So I feel like I've lucked out being able to do it.
So otherwise a record goes from mastering, it goes to a plating facility, and then after the plating facility, it comes to you to the pressing plant.
Mm-hmm. Some pressing plants have mastering and plating in the same building as the plant. Mm-hmm. Some pressing plants don't have mastering at all. They just press records. Some plants have lacquer and pressing like we do, and some plants have only, they have plating and pressing and everything in between. It's sort of what is the best thing for the project overall, and a lot of times it comes down to budget and time. But yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome to have plating here. I just got to meet the old guy that can teach me how to do plating because I knew the old guys that taught me how to master and cut records, and I know the old guys that, they tried to teach me how to press records. It turned out they didn't really know. I had to figure that one out myself. But then I eventually found the old guy later on and validated a lot of my learnings. But plating is one of those things that there are people that do it so well that it's really, really hard to get into the business to begin with. And it's easier and better for the project to just outsource that right now.
Right, because your goal as a mastering engineer too, your goal has always been to just make the best possible product that you can, right?
No matter who's doing it, as long as we're serving the project and making the very best quality records we can for that customer in a timely manner, that's always the goal. We don't have to do everything.
Yeah. Now, Rockstars, we have a playlist of Piper's discography also in the show notes, so you can go check that out. Just going and listening to that again myself, I'm struck by how good it all sounds. So to me, you know, what really stood out was there's everything from classical guitar performances to, you know, female vocalists to synth, you know, kind of almost like impressionistic synth pop music, to hard rock, and it all just like, I mean, even just on the my MacBook Pro speakers, it just leaps right out, you know. So I thought that was a really beautiful example
Thanks,
of just, you know, just getting stuff right. So it's interesting to me to think about, you know, this whole process of getting the record pressed and determining for yourself that that's carrying through. What are some ways that you know, that make you feel good about the final result of an album when an album is pressed and it's delivered? What are the kind of, you know, measurements, the benchmarks for you that make you feel like, wow, this one really turned out great?
Yeah. We are we are a small enough team where I still get to talk to the artists a lot, or at least their management. And so I always have this I always know what the goal is. Like what did the artist intend here? And so if we match what it is that the artist intended, i.e. color, packaging, obviously, you know, overall sound quality and quantity being correct and color being correct, but like, does it feel the way that they wanted it to, as far as like, are we using really nice sleeves for, you know, dust covers? Are we using the best quality shrink wrap? Are we using nice boxes for them to ship in so that they don't get damaged when they get there? And then, you know, really when the artist calls me a year later and it's like, I loved that pressing, we're going to do a reorder. Then obviously then I know, like, yeah, we did a great job. But
Yeah.
as far as audio quality goes and the records themselves, I mean, there are technical standards that records should be held to. You have the cutting standards like the RIAA, and standard level. Like, you have all of these technical things that a record really has to conform to be able to be cut and then plated and tracked on a turntable. But I'm looking for extremely quiet, silent grooves. So on the lead in, the lead out, and the area between the tracks, is that as quiet as possible? Or are we hearing like, you know, like a gnarly sound? Are there a lot of ticks and pops, things like that? I was showing off our water system because we generally don't have a lot of issues with warping. Because we take very good care of our equipment and our molds and our plastic. We generally don't have a lot of issues with stitching or non-fill or dishing. These are the things that are like, you can actually look at the record and be like, that's fucked up. Like, why would they put that in a package? Like, why would they even let that out of the facility? So we generally don't have a lot of issues like that. What happens more often is like, lacquer comes from a cutting engineer that we don't have a relationship with, goes to the stamper facility, comes to us. We look at the stampers and we're like, all right, side A has the right number of tracks. Side B does not have the right number of tracks according to the track list that we have. What happened there? Those are the things that cause us to like kind of scratch our heads and have to go digging. We try and collect as much information ahead of time as we possibly can, but it's kind of funny. It's almost like we went through this period of a few years where we could control everything. We could be so careful. We almost everything that came through PMP, if it wasn't a catalog job, meaning like it's a repress of a repress of a repress, you know, like we've made tens of thousands of MF Doom, Operation Doomsday, and Victor Vaughn, and you know, all kinds of things that have, you know, been pressed and repressed and repressed and repressed. And we're just sort of, we get the stampers, we get the center labels and the jackets, and we have a shipping destination and a quantity, and they go. But 90% of what we did at PMP for a long time were these independent artists a lot of them my mastering clients, and they were people that would talk with me and they would give me information about what it was they were looking for out of the job. And like I would know kind of ahead of time what their track listing was supposed to be because I mastered it, or we put them in touch with our graphic designer who helped them build all of their album artwork and graphics and everything. And I feel like for a few years there, we had a really wonderful collaborative effort with these artists. Now, early in 25 and then again midway through 25, we had a very large influx of projects come in that we had no experience with. We didn't have a relationship with those folks from the inception of the music and the graphics. We just sort of got handed. At that time, it was 45 projects in January, and then we got handed another 60 projects between end of July and early August that all got due at the end of August. And that was a point where it really tested our admin and tested our quality control efforts, because if you don't know what it's supposed to sound like, how are we supposed to make make great records out of it?
Yeah.
This is where you start getting into subjective quality things. And I'm an engineer no matter what. And so I'm going to find some way to engineer around that problem. And so we started building these profiles for the projects online so we could check against every single thing we could find about that particular artist and that particular sound on the internet and tried to match that the best we could, even though we didn't know them or even have a phone number for them.
Wow.
So I'm really proud of how we were able to solve that issue, but it doesn't mean a new one's not going to come up. And so for us, it's the normal things for a record. Is it quiet on the silent grooves? Does it have enough bass? Does the EQ sound good? Or is there distortion? Does it track on most turntables? Not one that I will not even name because it's not even worth spending money on. But is there are technical benchmarks for making a good record, but I feel like a lot of plants try really hard to make good records. Some of them do make good records.
Yeah. The new iZotope RX12 is here, bringing powerful new AI tools to help you repair and improve your audio faster than ever. RX12 introduces scene rebalance for separating dialogue, music, and sound effects, plus stems view for visually editing stems inside your session. You can clean up noisy recordings, remove bleed, rebalance mixes, and automatically trim silence from long audio files in seconds. Whether you're producing music, editing podcasts, or working in post-production, RX12 helps you fix the unfixable fast. Go to iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Yeah, so to that point too, if there are listeners who are wanting to get into vinyl or upgrade or just get a better turntable, do you have recommendations around, turntables to look at, or what kind of stereo we might want to consider setting up, or even just like what space we might want to set aside for setting up vinyl?
Well, you can play back in any studio, obviously, or any living room. But the big things you're asking about turntable.
Just like
setup and
those
choices.
who haven't gotten into vinyl yet. It's like, here's some things to consider getting into it.
Well, the first thing is that it's better to go to a records shop and buy a nice used Technics or something from the guy that knows how turntables should sound and be set up than it is to buy a brand new thing for $60 on Amazon, because you're going to end up returning it anyway.
Yeah.
Auto stops are not as good as you think they are.
What are auto stops?
Like a turntable with an automatic stop system, or when it gets to the inside lock groove, there's a mechanism. It hits a little switch and it's like, okay, the record's done. It picks the stylus up and returns it back to the
Otherwise
armrest.
it just keeps going and going and going like a horror movie.
Yeah, but also, like, that's okay. Records are meant to spin, and the stylus is meant to ride in a groove. It's no problem. The issue
Yeah.
is that sometimes, if they're trying to play like a 7-inch record, for instance, on a turntable with an auto stop, it will often stop at the wrong time because it's not set up to stop at a 7-inch. And so you'll
Right.
be like, "What happened to the last 30 seconds of the song?" Or a lot of times those types of turntables don't have a lot of calibration options. So like if they're not absolutely perfect, even though they're mass produced, they're not absolutely perfect coming out of the factory, you have no options. And so a lot of times the sensors are wrong or a piece of plastic is broken on the inside and things like that. Better to go with a tried and true older style turntable that, yes, you have to get up and flip the record in between sides, but, you're also actively listening, and that's, I think, what's really beautiful about records.
Well, they don't have
Vinyl is
automatic turntables that will play both sides for us yet, do they?
it's called a jukebox lidge.
Oh,
Have
right. All
you
right. Fair.
heard of
Fair.
those?
Jukebox.
No, there were turntables that would flip the record. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember hearing about there was a Cadillac or something like that actually had a record player in the car stereo.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet Joe from Sterling would probably put something like that together.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what about? I mean, sometimes I'm reminded though. There's records can also be sensitive too. So like, some rooms of the house, if the floor is kind of bouncy and stuff like that, that cannot be a challenge. Are there any good tricks for? I sort of remember going to a square dance as a kid, and they'd have a giant block of yellow foam, and the record player would sit on that so that all the dancing didn't mess it up or cause it to skip.
Sometimes we put a penny or a nickel on the tape a penny
on
to
the stylus or something like
onto
that.
the top of the cartridge. Yeah,
Just to weight
give
it
it a
down
little bit of weight. Most turntables, or they should have a counterweight on them, so you can add a little bit more so it doesn't bounce on you. My turntables, I have a couple of them, but they're self-leveling, so in theory, it's pretty isolated from the floor. Or you can get these, neoprene mats or something to help with that. But I mean, it's just, that's what's kind of great about vinyl is it's a very compromised format, actually. It's like, it really doesn't sound that good. Like,
really? You feel like? I
always
feel
loves
like
to
it
talk about
sounds
how,
great.
Look, a well-made record, it's the experience, it's the active listening, it's the like tuning in rather than just passively, whatever's playing kind of thing. And yes, an extremely well-pressed and well-played system for vinyl is going to sound amazing. I completely agree. I mean, I literally own a vinyl record pressing plant, and we mastering engineer that cuts records, and I have the turntable that's worth many, many zeros. Like, I have all the things, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to recognize that it is a piece of metal riding in a canyon of plastic. It's just spinning and trying to flick itself off because of how fast it's going, right? And it's just barely there. It's just a groove. I mean, the groove is 0.0025 of an inch or whatever. Like, it's like the tiniest, littlest thing. It's so delicate, yes, but
It's like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible hanging onto the edge of a plane or something.
It's amazing that it sounds like anything. Okay.
Yeah.
And me intimately knowing how they get made, like, yeah, I'm amazed. Every time that hydraulic press goes up, I mean, it's 40 tons of pressure. It's 300 degrees melted plastic, and then 300 degrees of steam, and then 150 pounds of water flowing through those molds. Like, it's 2,000 pounds per square inch on a 12-inch ram. I mean, that is enough to squeeze a freaking car if you really wanted to. Like,
wow.
It's huge. It's like very traumatic experience to make records. Okay, it's like fire and brimstone. I'm not even fucking kidding. It's amazing that they sound like anything at all, let alone this like beautiful, delicate, and everybody's always like, "Oh, I have to take such good care of my records and I don't touch it." And like,
Right. If you had any idea how they were,
if you
where they
had any
came
idea
from.
how they're made, I mean, we're careful, obviously. Everybody wears gloves and like, yeah, we make sure everything's clean and all that stuff. But like, really, you know, you can pick up a record. It's okay. You can hold it. It's plastic. You're not going to hurt it.
That's great.
It's okay.
Now, remind us again. So like the label on the center of that record, what do you call that? You just call that the label, or is there
This
a
is called the
fancier term
center
for it?
label.
Center label. And what is that logo right there? Is that,
Oh, that's our PMP. That's our little PMP logo. This is just a test press.
oh, that's great. It's cool looking, really cool.
Yeah, thanks. And then there's the backside. There's just a bunch of little tiled versions of it.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So yeah, this was a handmade record. But so fun fact, Lidge, did you know that the center label is not a sticker?
It's not. What is it?
It's a piece of it's a very expensive piece of paper that we print with very expensive ink. And then we drill out and then die cut our labels. And then it gets pressed into the plastic.
So it's sort of adhered to the plastic, the paper is.
It's literally squeezed into it. Yeah. So like you literally can't. It's like it's obviously a security thing and you want to make sure that, it doesn't peel off or something.
Right,
but
right.
yeah, a record center label is actually a piece of specialized type of coated inked paper it's able to withstand the heat of the press and get squeezed into the record itself. When I was showing the back of the press on the blue press, I was showing where the center label area is. You can see that's where they actually get affixed to the preform and then squeezed into the record once it spreads out in the molds.
It's super cool. No, I had no idea that it was that specific. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the sticker doesn't come off because I've had that happen on CDs where it gets jammed in your car stereo before. So not something
you play
want
it too
to happen.
much.
Yeah, well, it might have been because I was using a cheap sticker on a CD to press for myself. Now, for you as a mastering engineer, what are some of the, how has your perception of music and mastering and, the process of going from a mix arriving to a delivery, how's that changed for you and evolved through your experience, your growing experience of vinyl as opposed to other formats?
I think I realized a while ago that, a band that is well rehearsed and tuned properly and, everybody can play their instruments. That's very important. But at the end of the day, it's all the song. I mean, you can have a bad recording of a great song and you can have a great recording of a terrible song. And I mean, which one's going to sell. The interesting thing with records is that everybody is so precious about it because it's very expensive. It's a really, really expensive process to go through. So you only want to do it once. You want to get it right the first time. Now, vinyl masters are a lot more forgiving than a lot of people think they are. And they really don't realize, it's not all about just having mono bass. It's a lot of stuff that's on what's going on the top end. It's making sure that there's not a lot of digital glitches or, missing chunks of waveform, things like that a stylist can't actually cut into the master.
Right.
There are a lot of parts of modern music making that can't really get cut or pressed into vinyl properly. Well, you can press whatever you want, but it's not going to play back all that well all the time. Mm-hmm. So there's there's this commitment that has to happen for something to go on vinyl because you can't really fuck with it too much or else it's not going to sound great or play back great. I like the idea that, you can sort of, you could put any type of electronic music on vinyl, no problem, as long as it's nice, clean tones. But I love the idea of a band in a room playing and making a commitment of a record. There's a lot of live to lathe records that are happening these days and analog records that are happening. And there's just something really beautiful about the commitment of not like that particular sound, and not like going
Yeah.
way overboard and killing the song.
Do you sort of envision yourself being in a situation with the mastering and the pressing that you can cut live to disc with your space?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Do you is part of your vision to be able to actually do live to disc cutting, band performance stuff?
Yes. In fact, there's a theater that's being installed as my tenant in the building here. So I'm very excited that we'll actually have a venue here
Amazing.
at Physical Music Products. And so, yeah, we will, in theory, be able to do live to disc recording. And then if we have even a basic galvanics situation here, we can quickly make a stamper and then press it right here.
Awesome.
That'd be pretty neat.
Sounds like it'd be a lot of fun to do that. Are you ready to launch your career in the audio or entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, right here in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs to prepare you for the industry. From studio production and live sound to audio for film and a whole lot more. You'll learn by doing, working with professional-grade gear alongside experienced industry pros. If you're more into the business side of entertainment, SAE's Entertainment Business Program teaches essential basics like contracts and promotion to help you navigate the industry. With diploma, associate, or bachelor's degrees, there's a path for everyone. Plus, Career Services supports graduates as they take the next step. Want to see it for yourself? Immerse yourself in Nashville's exciting music scene and book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. Howdy, rock stars. It's Lidge, and we're back now for the jam session, aka the second half of the show. My guest today is Piper Payne, joining us from Physical Music Products and also Nito Mastering. Piper, you ready to jam?
Let's jam.
All right. So, what do you want to say to the rock stars about like things like turnaround times for mastering vinyl, and maybe some of the general costs that we might want to consider or think about when it's time to, master and press vinyl.
Mastering or pressing. Okay.
Just the whole process. Because I mean, usually we go from like, should we do a vinyl record? Anybody who hasn't done it before and doesn't have the experience.
Yeah. Fortunately, these days, people are starting to think about making vinyl records as they're in the recording process. And I think that's a very important thing to recognize. Even on our mastering intakes, I just always say, is there any possibility this thing will end up on a vinyl record? Because if so, it's going to kind of change a little bit about how I'm thinking about the mastering for it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to change how I'm going to master it, but I might give myself like a little bit of a relief valve on a capture ahead of time if there's some possibility of it ending up on vinyl. That way it's easier to transition that master to a vinyl master, and then I have a separate master for digital, rather than, full on hitting it hard for digital and then have to find a way to either walk it back, which doesn't always sound great, or have to completely rework it again for vinyl.
Right.
So timeline for mastering for vinyl is not really that much longer than mastering for just digital exports. There's things that you need to make sure you're keeping in mind that I'll kind of remind the audience, is that a master for vinyl is different than a master for digital. Can I
interject a question? Because you said something about like people are starting to think about it even in the recording process. So the mastering is part of that recording process. It's part of the making the final version. But is there anything that we need to know even before we get to mastering, even in the mixing or the actual recording?
Yeah. So remember that a stylus playing back on a record, all it is it's just a stylus that's riding in a groove. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's on a cantilevered arm, and the groove is spinning. It's a spiral. It's spinning away, and the stylus is riding toward the inside. So when you get to the inside, I will demonstrate. This one's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's
When you
groovy.
get to the inside of the record, so when you're playing back the stylus on the turntable on the outside of the record, like track 1, track 2, track 3, your stylus is sitting kind of almost parallel with the groove as it's spinning, right? And as the record spins, you're moving towards the inside, towards the inside. So now what angle am I at on the very inside of that record? We're many degrees off, like maybe in some cases, depending on how far in you are, 15, 20 degrees off what should be the normal axis, right?
Right, because
Because
the stylus has to sort of like pivot like
because
that
you're
as
on
it's
an
tracking.
arm that is on a gimbal, and the arm is traveling toward the inside. And so when you're out here playing back, you got basically full fidelity. You're just cruising in that groove. But then once you get to the inside and now your stylus is at a different angle, you're going to start losing some levels, some fidelity, even some EQ. And there are things that the curve makes up for. There are things that cutting can make up for. There's a lot of compromises that we can make in the mastering process. But if you're thinking about this kind of stuff in the recording process and like early on in the recording, tracking and mixing, you might consider putting the sequence together in a different way, where the song on the very inside is either something that is very forgiving for distortion or has a different type of EQ that is actually a little bit more flattering for that particular problem. You'll also probably want to make sure that you don't have something that a stylus literally can't replicate. So like when we cut into the disc, the lacquer disc, that stylus is vibrating sympathetically with the um, the electrical signal, obviously, that's being fed to it, and it's chipping out the groove. And if you create something like a fade or like the end of a clip that has no fade, it's just waveform that stops abruptly, the stylus can't replicate that.
Right.
It has a harmonic modulation to it to begin with, and so if it stops, it doesn't sound like cool distortion. It's just like literally just the worst distortion sound ever. It's like this like clipping, like that type of clipped out cutting distortion from non-finished waveform or non-faded, non-cross-faded waveform. It's not fun at all.
Right.
Also high frequency information. A lot of times folks are always thinking about, they're like, they always ask me, what about my bass? It's got to be mono, right? And I'm like, it's not so much about the mono and the bass. It's more about the high frequency information that we just can't cut. And so we end up having to do so much high frequency limiting that it sometimes will sound like you have a lisp, or we have to cut it quieter because the cutting amps will get too hot. And then lastly is the sequence, related to the sequence is the overall time on the disc. You only get so much time on side A, only so much time on side B, or before we have to start making compromises like lowering the overall level of the disc or packing those grooves so tight that, you might start hearing echo and things like that. So,
Interesting. I didn't know
those
you
are
could
some of
hear
the things
echo
to think
across
about.
a disc.
What's that?
I didn't know you could hear echo on a disc from another
sometimes
an adjacent
if you have,
track.
You hear the track, the line right before. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So essentially, like we might consider song length and stuff like that. We might just consider song arrangements for recording the record we're going to do. Make sure we don't take too long on something, or it might help us decide what that outro is really going to look like, or what that extended intro is maybe not going to be so extended. And then when you're talking about things that are sort of forgiving of distortion on a song that goes towards the inside of the album, does that mean we might want to consider a song that has distortion on it already? Like more distorted guitars sound good toward the inside because it's sort of masked by distortion?
I suppose, but I don't know. In my experience, like things that are really, really exposed, like I made a record one time where they had a spoken word track on the inside of a very long side, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to put on a disc because it was just
Interesting.
constantly trying to distort and sound lispy and like it was so hollow and difficult, even though it was just like very famous artists, really beautiful voice. But stuff that doesn't have to have distortion already, just stuff that's not super duper exposed. But it's kind of
Okay.
funny because back in the day, they would put like ballads at the ends of the songs because they could really
Right.
pack the grooves and then leave lots of space at the very
Right,
end of
because
the
you don't
disc.
have, it
So
doesn't have a lot of low end and a lot of transient from drums and bass, right?
the transient thing is hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, those are some things to think about.
And
And then
now, does
overall
that mean that
length,
traditionally also like, did vinyl records sort of indicate where the single or where the most punchy song might go on an arrangement on side A and a side B traditionally?
I always heard that track 3 is, track 3 on the A side was like that's the most important one or something.
I
Makes
kind of
sense to
heard that
me.
too, but
I
I
mean,
didn't know if that was because of the physical nature of the vinyl or
I'm
something
certain
else.
that it was the physical nature.
It was okay, groovy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
keep saying groovy. I guess that's where it comes from. All right. Now, what about how do we think about costs for vinyl? I mean, we need a budget for something like this if we're going to do it. There are
Yeah.
probably a handful of costs, right?
There are. So to do something, very basic, just standard black records, low quantity would be something like a 250 count run of a standard album jacket, black record. Those are, those will end up being somewhere around $12 a piece. So we run a fun special here because a lot of the folks that we work with are independent artists making records for the first time, and they're just like, I want to do a good job, I want it to sound good, but I don't want to cut corners, but I also can't afford $5,000 for a colored super fancy run of 500 records or whatever.
Right.
So we run a little special here. It's less than $3,000 for 250 black records, standard packaging. We always use, we don't go any cheaper than that, A, because we don't have to, and B, because the materials that we use are much higher quality than a lot of other folks that are trying to make just like 100 records for $1,000 or something.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
not, there's no reason for it, because by the time we cut the lacquer and make the stamper, after, two-step plating and stamper, and then center labels are good for 1,000, stamper's good for 1,000. By the time we set it all up and send the jackets to the printer, the lowest quantity that makes sense to make is 250 jackets. So 250 is kind of our lowest quantity that we say is practical. That's 2,850. Usually 5 to 7 weeks from the minute that we have locked audio, locked artwork, and locked deposit.
Native Instruments now brings you Complete 26, loaded with creative tools for songwriting, production, mixing, and sound design. The big news is the return of the legendary Absinthe 6, with evolving textures, cinematic soundscapes, and experimental sounds designed to spark new ideas fast. Contact 8 continues to be the center of the complete ecosystem, with built-in tools for chords, phrases, grooves, and arrangement to help keep you in the creative flow. With Massive X Guitar Rig 7 Pro, session guitarist instruments, Play Series sounds, and premium tools from Isotope and Brainworks, including Ozone 12 Elements, Complete 26 gives you everything that you need to produce in any genre. Plus, Native Instruments continues expanding NKS integration with complete control keyboards and machine hardware. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Now that's the pressing, right? So we also need to think about timing.
That includes
on the plating.
the lacquer cutting, the plating, the printing, and the pressing, and the delivery. Yeah.
That seems like that's a lot faster than it was, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
It's always been our standard. When we started PMP, we had the fastest turnaround time in the business, and a lot of folks came to us because of that, and then they stayed because we were, making good records and we're nice people. And so we basically set that standard, and a lot of the turn times have come down, where it's still the same for us. Sometimes we go faster. I mean, I've made fully done custom records in as little as about 8 days for somebody who really, really needed something.
Wow.
We've made 10,000 records in 6.5 working days, basically between the time we started the project and then waited for the printing to come in and then actually pressed it up and sent it. So like there's things that we can do, but for the most part, a comfortable production time for a short run of records is 5 to 7 weeks. And
5 to 7 weeks.
That's good for up to about 5,000 pieces. So anything more than that, we ask for a couple weeks after that for every 5,000.
And then on the final end of this, when an artist or a label is turning around and, well, let's just think about this in terms of artists, these are sort of indie focused questions that I'm asking.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but,
indie focus is that's our focus. That's what we do.
Yeah.
A lot of major labels don't, they'll use us if the artist tells them to, like Ringo.
Right on.
We pressed a Ringo Starr record because he said, I want to go with PMP. And so we said, okay, thank you. And, Linda
That's
Perry
cool.
produced it. And, we work with artists with a lot of cachet with major labels, but for the most part, the major labels have a way of paying for things that sort of defies logic for me.
I understand
because they
that.
want me to fund their projects for them, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have $10,000 in your bank account to pay me a deposit for this $20,000 project. You want me to hold $20,000 of a receivable for you for how long? Like,
yeah.
It happens the same way in mastering and mixing and all of it. It's just that with vinyl, manufacturing, the profit margin is very small. We make plastic widgets. Okay. We just happen to make them to a very high degree of, quality tolerance. And, it's not any different from if we were making pogs or milk bottles or key fobs. Like, it's the same process. It's the same thing. You still got to carry all the raw materials. You still got to carry, but it's a one-off job every single time. And the materials are very expensive and the press time is very expensive and the labor and the building and everything else is very expensive. So I would prefer to make 100, 1,000 runs with independent artists who recognize and see the quality and see the love that we put in than one 100,000 run from some major label job that they're going to make me carry the receivable on it anyway. So
yeah, no, I can understand that. I've had my own interactions with labels where it has been very difficult at times. I was always struck when I was working with Steve Albini up at Electrical that their attitude was, if they're going to do a session, the full payments due at the session, and they didn't care if it was a indie label or one individual, or if it was the biggest record label in the world. And they just were like,
and everything we do is all first come, first serve. So, a lot of places, because they have these deals with the majors, they have a capacity deal with some broker or something, they will bump the indie artist that's got a release show coming up for 250 records and that's in 2 weeks. Like, they'll bump them because they have to get that so-and-so big name project out the door, and they've had it on the press for 3 months and they need it on the press for another 3 months or they're not going to get paid. And so sorry, indie person, your project's going to be delayed or whatever. Like, we don't do that at all. If the project is ready to go and we have your deposit, it's going on the press. So
that's super cool. Now, for the artist who's then turning around, so you showed us some beautiful records. You described the black vinyl record, simple sleeve. We saw the splatters, the beautiful colors and stuff like that. What is a way to think about that on the artist end in terms of what are there typical sort of pricings that you see the artist offer the vinyl to their audience for? So, for example, like you might see an artist offering a black vinyl record for, I don't know, $25, or I don't know, I'm just making up a number, versus the beautiful Splatter one. It's like, yeah, those can be available, but you, as an artist, you should think about like, okay, will my fan base, are they ready to spend $100 for this record or whatever it is?
And sometimes they are. There are some that we make that they're literally selling them for $200.
Yeah.
And they only make so many of them. They're the ones that are like this, basically, that are literally, every single one is completely different. It's not just a swirl or a splatter. But I think that every fan is going to sort of dictate what they're going to do by doing like a pre-sale. So we try and offer pre-sales on websites that we build for the artists so they can get an idea of how many and what they're going to want to make.
Oh, super cool.
Or there's a lot of Kickstarters that do that stuff. Or we, for a long time at PMP, if we had a run of 250 black, we would also do something kind of neat, because we just would put some splatter on at the end of something that's just like, that complements that black, so that the artist has like 10 records or something that they can do whatever they want with, charge $100 for, or give them away to family and friends or whatever.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool. And then what about any other like creative ways that you've seen artists raise funds for a run of records? I mean, the pre-release and the Kickstarter seems like a smart way to do it.
So many ways.
Just any fun memories, stuff, anything that pops into mind.
Yeah. There's a lot. I got to text my team real quick because they have a truck coming in. Give me one quick sec. Sorry.
This is where I edit this out, rock stars.
This is just a busy day at PMP. I'm sorry.
And if I didn't edit it out, then you're just seeing real world stuff going on.
Saw like 6 different people come in. Hey, Sam, how many of those did she take? 10. She's supposed to take 40. Stop her. I had Eric make like 60 just in case. Thank you. Rockstars, this is a moment where an artist, their album jackets got delayed. Not our fault. It's just a weird thing that happened at the printer, and they have a show tonight. It's not their release show, but their album jackets won't be here till tomorrow. And they have this show tonight, and he was like, it'd be really awesome if like I could, he was of course kind of bummed that his jackets got delayed, but that's not anything anybody can help. It's just the printer just had a gluing problem, and so they're just one day later, still within his release date and stuff. But it was kind of neat because we had a little bit of time on the press today, and I could run off some very special test presses for him to be able to sell at his show as like little pre-sales. So like example that you just asked me is like, how do people sell these things, or how do they find out who wants them? We just try everything we can to create something cool for them to make money with. So
right on.
I just had to have a moment with Sam and Deanna over there. It was like, you guys know you're not just running just a few test presses over. You're actually running over enough for him to sell.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's amazing that you guys, just try so hard to deliver for people so that it's, you're committed.
We were here pressing on Christmas Eve last year because there was a job that needed to happen. It needed to be at a distributor on a specific date, and that was the only way we were going to get that job done and out the door on time, was to come in. And we had 3 people here on Christmas Eve trying to get records made for these folks.
Wow.
So
you and Santa's elves, right?
We were Santa's elves, basically. Yeah, there were a lot of jokes about that.
Now, what about some of the challenges for, like, let's say you're the artist, now you've got your vinyl and you're trying to sell it after the fact. I guess the pre-sale really covers a lot of that. But I imagine sometimes, well, there's also just the delivery of the vinyl. What sort of things should we be considering?
We facilitate everything, soup to nuts. Like we like to say, if you have 10 songs or however many songs that are recorded and mixed, and you have a photograph for an album cover and a shipping destination, at PMP, we can fill in every other gap We have an in-house creative designer. We have a distribution manager. We have a shipping department. We have mastering engineers. We've got obviously cutting and pressing and custom mixes and all kinds of things. We also recycle everything, so we're able to we have small batches of stuff that we run off. I mean, we have this cool mix that we made for a job for Record Store Day, and we had some extra left over, so we were able to do a free color upgrade to a customer that we really liked. Things like that we can sort of facilitate that a lot of other plants can't handle.
If you record music, podcasts, video, or dialogue, the brand new iZotope RX12 is one of the most powerful audio repair tools you can add to your studio. RX12 now features AI-powered scene rebalance, letting you separate dialogue, music, and sound effects for incredible control in post-production. The new Stems view makes stem editing faster and more visual than ever, while upgraded music rebalance and dialogue isolate deliver cleaner separations with improved machine learning. RX12 also adds trim silence, helping podcasters and editors instantly remove dead space and speed up long-form editing workflows. Plus, rebuilt de-bleed tools and real-time processing improvements make cleaning up noisy recordings easier than ever. From restoring damaged audio to fixing podcast interviews, guitar tracks, vocal tracks, and film dialogue, RX12 is the industry standard toolkit, trusted by producers, podcasters, post-production engineers, and music makers worldwide. Go to iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off.
As far as actually getting the record to the fan, that's a really hard thing to do. And we finally cracked the code on that about a year ago, and we started setting up. We did actually a pilot program with John Oates and his new record. So we fulfill all of John's merch, and we build websites for those artists that need support like that. And then we fulfill right out of the facility here. So it's kind of great because it takes a little bit of the pressure off, because when we send a bulk shipment, like a freight, it's basically freight shipment for anything more than a couple hundred records. It's not just oh, here's a UPS box. It's no, this is an entire pallet of records, and it weighs 600 pounds and needs to be delivered on a truck. We facilitate all that, and we manage all of that on behalf of the customer. But if they also don't know what they're going to do with it next, it's just going to either sit in an attic or sit in a room somewhere, and then they're going to have to take them one by one and put them in mailers or take them to their shows all the time. So we basically built a system to do drop shipping for artists on tour. And then we went one step further, and we started building pre-sale sites so that they could figure out how many they wanted to make and in what color configurations. And that went over well. So then we started collecting information, name, address, email address from the folks that were buying those things at shows but didn't want to carry the record around with them for the rest of the night. And they would have a record show up at their door from the artist sent by us. So we have artists now that will just be all right, well, we made 500 records. You guys keep 250 of them and then send me 250 so that it's a less amount of money to ship with. And then I'll just send you a spreadsheet every month, and you bill me for the postage and the materials, and my fans get what they want. I don't have to spend all of my extra time as an artist packing up records and merch, so. Yeah. And we also have an in-house screen printing operation here at PMP now too, in the new building. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, even just our t-shirts are made right here, right in our building.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, I keep recognizing, just the same way I got into vinyl from the beginning as an engineer who had artists that were having a hard time communicating with plants. I keep finding these little things that make it easier to be an independent artist and make money, because vinyl records are still the only way for an artist to control how many they're making, who they're selling them to, and for how much. There's no other way. There's no other music media that you can really do that with.
It's the only real record sales anymore, right? It's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, do you see people trying to sell CDs still? I don't.
Oh yeah, and now we're starting to make CDs again.
Are you really? Right on. Yeah. And then how's the cassette? How's the cassette biz holding up still?
We still get asked for cassettes. Yep.
So are you guys pressing
we have a
cassettes
cassette
as well?
press. We have a cassette
Wow.
printer that we work with, and we have a really wonderful CD printer that I've been working with for over a decade at this point. And so
Yeah.
we have really good pricing and timelines with them. So we try and pass that along to our PMP vinyl folks as well. So that, and the neat thing is then everything looks the same. Like all the printing is all done by this. We all use the same jacket printer when something like that happens. So it's like all the colors match and it's like this really beautiful package. So yeah.
That's awesome. You know, on that note, I mean, to that point, it is kind of nice that, you know, Amazons give you those vintage all-in-one player things. Like my daughter's got one in her room. So it's like, you know, you still can get into CDs. You still can get into cassettes. You know, you can get into vinyl, all of it. Very cool. Now, let me ask some dumb questions around that too, because, you know, I know sometimes, you know, she was worried about a record not playing back as it did when it was new. I think after I inspected it, I determined that she had put the little 45 insert underneath the record and it was making it wobble. And I was like, kiddo, you might want to make sure that's not on there. But
yeah, there's some education that has to happen to the new generation. But,
yeah. But to that point, I mean, you know, some of the questions and the worries were, I don't know, did I store my records right while I was gone at college and stuff like that? What do you want to say about just how we're supposed to properly handle our records once we've got them so that we can actually build and keep a record collection and not end up, I don't know if you ever knew the song by John Hartford called maybe it's the album, Don't Leave Your Records in the Sun. It's great. You should hear it.
Please don't leave your records in the sun. Actually, we did a project last year for a foundation that was doing research on skin cancer.
Yeah.
And it was just this visual thing where we made a record with a custom song on it that could be tracked as the sun hit it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and so on. You could hear the sound start to deteriorate in this song. So it was it's like a whole visual situation. It's basically a PSA for skin cancer stuff. It's really beautiful.
Oh wow.
You'd be amazed at how many people come and pick their records up from our facility. I love them because it's an opportunity to teach. So I always take it as that. But they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go get some lunch. And it's like, it's 100 degrees outside. You're just like going to leave them in your front seat of your car. We just spent all this time and energy and your money making these. Like, what? Don't do that. Like, please, so don't leave them in a hot garage. Don't leave them in a car. It's like you're just like dogs or children. Like if you're hot, they're hot kind of thing. Like don't, if you wouldn't leave your wherever you wouldn't leave your dog, don't leave your records, I guess.
Okay, so the sun gets really hot and it'll totally warp them. But even just the heat.
Yeah.
Even just the heat.
I mean, I have videos I
can
send you of literally a record sitting outside for 3 minutes on a hot day in Nashville, and it's toast. It's already turned itself into a bowl. Yeah. Look, a properly pressed record, even if it warps a little bit or it gets a little hot in the car or whatever, a properly pressed record will not necessarily stay warped. If you let it just kind of relax again, you should be good. If you're getting records that are warped right out of the facility, they were not pressed properly or they were left on a hot dock with UPS or something.
Right.
And then, you can wash your records. You can just take a little bit of Dawn dish soap, super diluted. There's little things that you can get where you can make it's like a suction cup that goes around the label, and then you just take, very gently, just with your fingers. Don't use a scouring pad or something, and you can kind of any grime or dirt that you get, if you just buy a record that you really love from a record, like a used shop or something is kind of just gnarly, you can clean that. Don't put them in the dishwasher, obviously, but basically you can just gently clean.
Have you had somebody put their records in the dishwasher?
Don't
put it in the clothes washer either, Rockstars.
This one's actually kind of cool. You can actually see the light through it. It's kind of neat.
Oh, it's super cool.
The records can be put on a table because we have what's called the groove guard. I don't know if you can see in here, but it's very, very faint, but there's actually a raised lip on the very outer edge of the record called the groove guard, and then the very center of the record is a little bit raised. So the groove area itself is actually protected. So you can I put that right there on the table in front of me, and it's not in danger of getting scratched or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Now, what about do the records go on the shelf? Do they lay flat?
Straight
do they
up.
go vertical? What if they're at a slight angle, or there's sometimes
probably fine
lean or something?
That's okay.
So
jackets are pretty.
Stress.
Jackets are meant to support them. Yeah.
And then, do you see people making mistakes? Like, I mean, we don't have as much radiator living here for the winters. I know you go up to a place like Chicago and a radiator might get pretty damn hot.
Yeah, if you leave them under a radiator, that's not a great idea. Don't leave them any place that gets humid either, because if the jacket gets, moisture, it'll mold on the inside. Don't want that.
Okay, all right, good tips.
Overly cold is not a problem as long as when they get brought back into the warmth, they don't get a chance to get humid and condensate, and then have that mold get trapped.
All right.
Shrink wrap is perforated, so they're not waterproof when it's shrink wrapped.
Let me see.
Don't ever pay full price for sleeves or poly bags. Like, that is a racket. Buy them from Bags Unlimited. They're a lot cheaper.
What's the poly bag? What's Bags Unlimited in a poly bag?
Oh, a bag like I don't know if I have one in here.
Is that the clear plastic?
It's like the clear plastic that goes around the outside. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Are you recording your own music or other people's music in your studio, but you're having trouble figuring out how to get your mixes to sound great? Do they sound weak and distant or lack punch and clarity? Well, I've got a gift for you to help you take your mixes from sounding like basement demos to sounding a lot more like professional mixes. And it's my free course called Mix Master Bundle. This course will show you how to get pro-sounding mixes from your home studio with free and stock plugins in Pro Tools. And the best part is, these mixing techniques will work for you in any DAW, whether you're in Logic, Cubase, PreSonus, Studio One, Reaper, or anything you can think of. Are you ready to make your best record ever? Then go to mixmasterbundle.com to get started for free now, and you can find the clickable link in the show notes of this episode. And usually those are meant to be like, this is like, it's more like we're keeping it more, it's more archived or something. I don't know. I picture comic books with plastic sleeves on them.
Yeah, I think just when you're going to store records for a long time, it's nice to, have a dust cover on them or something so the paper doesn't get gross or break down.
Yeah. I wrote down a question, wanted to ask you about the difference between indie and big label differences. Do you feel like we already covered that when we were discussing what it's like from your experience, or was there more to that topic that you wanted to talk about, that like indie label versus big labels?
Yeah, I think I hit on it a little bit, but we built PMP to support the independent artists and independent label. That's not to say that we don't work with really big people like, Dolly Parton, Slater Kinney, Ringo Starr, Linda Perry, Waylon Jennings, like Allison Brown, Steve Martin, Colin Hay, like Oh Boy is a wonderful label that we work with a lot. Like there's a lot of there's a huge artist. Actually, I'm not going to tell you who he is because we just finished his job, but you can hear the truck backing in. We're making like 20,000 LPs for him. Awesome. Completely independent artist, completely independent label. Brand new record coming out.
That's super cool.
But there's something about the way that an independent label or an independent artist works that works really well for how we work, because we desperately want to do a good job. We want to make a difference. We want to move the needle in an opportunity for an artist to sell records and make money and then come back to us to make more records. But it's more about they're just valued differently somehow, and that really drives us. So not that we don't want to make records for major labels or big brokers, but that's sort of like a race to the bottom problem that I'm perfectly happy to not participate in. There are other plants that make lots and lots of volume records. We can make volume, but we prefer to work directly with the artist or the independent label that is helping us help them. So.
It's kind of like being an artist and going and touring and the thrill of playing small venues where it's intimate and everybody's really happy you're there and fans really love the music. It's that same kind of feeling.
Yeah.
It's nice to connect.
And also, I mean, I think a lot of the PMP clientele is also folks that were previously on major labels but now own their catalog. So like, the band Tesla, we make a lot of records for them. John Oates, for instance, Ann Wilson from Heart, Slater Kinney, like I said, these are folks that have had a ton of experience working with these label groups, and they're now able to make money on their catalog properly because they can control it, and they just need a company like us that has people that know what they're doing and know how to help them keep that income coming in. Like there are so many cool ways that we support those artists, and we just love doing it. So
yeah, it sounds really exciting. I liked hearing you describe the list of all the services that you provide. So I got a question for you. This is one that I've asked you before, and it's our hypothetical question. We get to go back and take the Wayback Studio machine, and you get to go back and find young Piper, and you say, listen, I come back to give you this one bit of advice. Here's the single most important thing you need to know to be a rock star of the studio yourself one day. Maybe you just want to go back and give yourself advice about, here's what you need to know about starting a whole industry of pressing records one day. What advice would you like to go back and give yourself if you could?
Oh, when I first started PMP, PMP is like 6 years old now. We've been around for a while, and like a lot of my colleagues, you've been tracking what I've been up to and what I've been doing, but like nobody really realizes what is going on until they come and visit us here, and they're like, "Oh my God, what the fuck? What did you guys build here?"
Massive.
Yeah. I think early on when I was thinking about PMP, I was thinking about it in a way that you need to when you need to raise money, or when you need to build a business, or you need to find partners for like this venture, right? And I was always thinking about volume. And obviously I was concerned with quality because that's how I got into the vinyl industry. Like I knew that would just sort of be a given, but I was always thinking like, oh, well, all we need are like 10, 100,000 runs a year and we'll be fine. Like, I mean, like that's so fucking stupid. Like I can't believe I was thinking that, because really when you look at it in a different way, you can't do a good job when you are doing that kind of volume work. You literally can't. The cost of manufacturing that type of stuff is so high that you cannot do it at a high degree of quality. You have to do it fast. And yeah, we make 2 records per press per minute, and we just crank out records all day long, and we pack them and everything else. But like, in order to even store enough materials to do that type of volume work, I mean, we do that many projects. We do that many records in that many projects per year, but we don't do them all in those big runs. And I'm so glad that eventually, like within the first 3-4 months, our business plan changed almost completely overnight because of the way that our first couple projects got started. It was a nightmare, and that is a whole nother 2-hour-long conversation for you. But eventually I started feeling really comfortable about doing these really short run independent artists. And that the cool thing is the impact that makes when we do a good job and the artists can sell those records at their shows. They come right back to us to make more and more and more. And that's like, I always sort of conceptually knew that was a thing that we should do, but I always thought, okay, I need like this contingent of long run volume stuff, and then a small contingent of independent, small run stuff. And then I need like a bunch of catalog stuff. But really, most of our work is small to medium quantity, not small to medium artists, because some of the biggest artist you'd ever imagine. You're like, you're a fucking touring artist. You've been touring for 25 years. You're selling out stadiums and you want me to press 500 records for you? Like, that's it? What? The smaller quantity jobs are the ones that are the most impactful to the artist's career, and they really move the needle the most, and that's what we want to keep doing. We just also like happen to make more money that way.
Yeah.
It's like it was a surprise for everybody. Like, I did not think that that would become our bread and butter. We just happen to be good at it, and so we can eke out better margin than on these other big giant things that you have to hold for so long just to turn any sort of profit.
That's amazing. What a great story, and what a great
lots of surprises, I guess, along the way.
Yeah, what a great thing that you're doing for the music community too, just by providing this and making it possible for everybody to make
come visit sometime.
Something beautiful.
Really.
Make a beautiful thing for our music, and then also actually make money making music, make it profitable. Piper, let the rock stars know, how can they come check out more about you? Where would you like them to go to, learn much more about it or explore pressing their next record?
Certainly.
Or getting it mastered.
Yeah. Somehow this has become an advertisement. I didn't mean for that
That's all right.
to be that way, but we gotta fill everybody in. But so the company's called Physical Music Products. We're on Instagram at PMP Vinyl. You can find us at physicalmusicproducts.com or Be Kind Regrind, which is kind of our little motto.
Right. Do we need to be reminded where that motto comes from? It's the original
because
reference?
Almost everything that we make is recycled plastic. Actually, funny enough, the first 100,000 records we made at PMP were 100% recycled vinyl.
Right, but it's a throwback.
That's all we could
too.
get. It's all I had access to in the pandemic. Funny enough, we had to grind our own, and just now we bring in lots from warehouses and distribution centers that are dead stock stuff that we sort through, and we find the best quality discs, and we dink out the center and we grind them up and make new records out of them. So Be Kind Regrind.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of the reference to the throwback to
Be
back
Kind
when we
Rewind,
used to do VHS tape rental stores, movie.
Where and so our little I have a shirt that has the exact this little logo. It's like as if it were the smiley face, Be Kind Rewind.
Yeah, that's what it used to say. So rock stars who are watching this who don't know what that was all about, we used to have to go rent our movies from the VCR, VHS. And they always wanted you to rewind the movie before you turned it in. So people would actually get these custom VHS rewinders that would literally just pop it in. All it would do is rewind it for you. It was great. So I saw that.
So
I'm
old enough to remember that. I'm old enough to remember that reference. So I thought it'd be kind of a cute little motto. But yeah, BeKindRegrind.com will take you to PMP Vinyl. Nashville Record Pressing takes you to PMP Vinyl. You can call me 313-580-6660 anytime. And our email addresses are all just piper@physicalmusicproducts.com, etc. And then Neato Mastering, you can find me or Colby, my wonderful other mastering engineer that works for Neato, Neato mastering.com. And then you can just come visit us. We're over here on Duluth Avenue in Nashville. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for hanging with us and coming back on the show. It's really a pleasure to see it. And how cool to get a tour of the plant and see what you're doing there. It's just massive. So thank you for hanging with us. Rockstars, thanks for joining us. If you're listening, come on over to the light. We're on, video now too, so you can come see it on YouTube. And if you enjoyed watching this, then please hit the like button so that somebody else gets to enjoy this too. And share this video, especially if you know anybody that's finishing up a record and is looking for a way to press vinyl and get it out there. Just hit the share and send them a link. And then
maybe we should do a little discount or something for RSR folks.
Your call. Just name it here. You'll be beholden to it.
You
can send one. We can put it in the link if you want.
We'll put it in the link. We'll come up with something kind of cool.
All right, groovy.
Some kind of either really cool upgrade or a little bit of a discount for RSR folks. That'd be cool.
Love it. That sounds like a great idea. And then hit the subscribe button so you can get more of these fun interviews with cool people like Piper joining us on the show. And Piper, it's great to see you again. I look forward to coming over and seeing the plant in person soon.
Thanks, Lidge. I'd love to have you over and anybody from your crew. Talk to you soon.
All right, cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Recording Studio Rockstars. If you enjoyed the show and want to help make it better, then please share this episode with your friends on social media and leave a rating and review on iTunes to help the podcast reach more rock stars like yourself. You can click directly over to iTunes or go to rsrockstars.com/review for an easy explanation. And remember to hit the subscribe button to keep up with weekly episodes. And if you're ready to make your best record ever now, then head over to Recording Studio Rockstars Academy, where you can start with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for being a rock star. I'm Lidge Shaw, and this is Recording Studio Rockstars. Now, go make great music. Recording Studio Rockstars would like to give a big thank you to our fantastic sponsors who make this episode possible. Isotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Spectra 1964, Grace Design, and Picker. Check out the Spectra 1964 website for factory direct budget-saving prices on the STX 600, 100, 100D, and BBDI DirectBox. Check out my studio profile on the Picker app on iPhone or Android, and remember to take advantage of our special coupon code ROCK10 for 10% off any plugin purchase at isotope.com or nativeinstruments.com. And don't forget, you can start mixing right now with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. If you enjoyed Recording Studio Rockstars, please check out our sponsors using the links in the show notes below. These are all things I highly recommend for your studio. They're going to help you make your best record ever. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because it's a great way to help support this show. And I'd also like to thank our fantastic team here at Recording Studio Rockstars, Vlad Weselchenko and Daria Tupesis. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.